How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? My name is TheStarkz, and welcome to a brand new The Last of Us video. Today, we're going to be talking a little bit about the world of The Last of Us, something I wanted to touch base on for a while now, ever since we saw the gameplay trailer for The Last of Us at E3 2018. It's been over a year now, probably a year and 2 months now, actually. Which is insane because, to be honest, I don't think Naughty Dog has ever stayed away from showing a little bit of their game that they've been working on for so long, in respects to already revealing it. So it's a little bit of a bummer, but hopes to seeing it, The Last of Us, that is, in Gamescom, which is supposed to be happening today. I'm going to be at work, so I'm not going to be able to watch it much, but we'll see what happens. So I'm going to try and have this video uploaded beforehand. However, we're going to be talking about the possibility of The Last of Us being an open world game, or some, some fictional version of it at least. And I have a lot of different claims and facts, as well as instances where previous Naughty Dog games have kind of entered the realm of or close to a scale of an open world setting. Now, I just want to debunk some of the ideas here regarding open worlds. But before I do that, I want to say Naughty Dog has made an open world game. I think more than one, actually, with that being with Jax and Daxter. And while they haven't touched the series in a while, that doesn't imply that we're not going to see some version of their pre-existing open world setting be implemented in a newer setting, that being The Last of Us Part 2. So, first off, let's define what an open world game is, to those of you who may not know what that means. So, and this is off of Wikipedia, but in video games, an open world is a virtual world in which the player can explore and approach objectives freely, as opposed to a world with more linear gameplay. Such linear gameplay or games that would be linear would probably be a lot of the Call of Duty games, Uncharted 1 to 4, The Last of Us Part 1, and so many other games that are very linear. But while games have used open world design since the 1980s, the implementation of Grand Theft Auto 3 back in 2001 set a standard that has been used since. Essentially, games with open or free roaming worlds typically lack the invisible walls and loading screens common in linear level designs. Generally, open world games still enforce many restrictions in the game's environment, either because of absolute technical limitations or in-game limitations imposed by a game's linearity. Pardon, I butchered that name. But yeah, that's one example of why I kind of want to debunk the idea of open world games, is because there still are this linear aspects to open world games. There has to be, because an open world setting, all an open world game is essentially an open sandbox area for you to freely explore, and it's within the game's developers freedom to map the outer edges and the exploring that the player is able to do. You look at a game like Red Dead Redemption 2, beautiful, great game. And with Red Dead Redemption 2, the first chapter, or I think it was a pre-chapter, but either pre-chapter or first chapter, is completely linear because you're not able to you're limited to what you can do. You have to play like an hour or two of the story before you can actually freely explore the world of Handover, which I think is what the I guess the area is called, and so that is your linear aspect to the game. The other linear aspect to the game is its story. Now, I wasn't going to directly pick off of Red Dead Redemption 2, but I'm going to go back towards my original example, which was Grand Theft Auto 5, a game that I really enjoyed. A game I've given a lot of credit for because it was outstanding. A game that is open world. It has an open world sandbox level where I or anyone else can freely choose what objectives I can do first, what I can do before playing the story. But when you go back to that story, it is a completely linear experience. It's a matter of when and it's not how, just when you actually get to play that or experience that story. Like, I can play Grand Theft Auto 5 and play throughout the entire story without touching any of the free roam aspects and the side objectives and then go back to the side objectives. Now that might spoil the fun because, the idea is to, I guess burn time by doing other things in the world rather than just completely enjoying the story. But the story is great anyhow, so why not, right? But that is the linear aspect to Grand Theft Auto 5. Now, back to The Last of Us and Naughty Dog, though. I just wanted to debunk that for anyone who's kind of confused, because I've had a couple conversations with people, and they seem to imply that the open world games aren't completely linear, which is false. There's linear aspects. It's not like you can do whatever you want necessarily. It's what every open world game is done with limitations, because you look at a game like Saints Row, sure, it has an open world sandbox for me to freely do whatever I want, but I can't jump out of a plane, stand here, kill a baby, you know what I mean? Like, there's limitations, obviously, because there has to be. It's almost like this limited censorship kind of thing. I'm not going to get into censorship, but that's the idea that I get when I look at open world games, because it's not completely linear. But anyways, you look at a game like Naughty Dog's Uncharted: The Lost Legacy, which expanded massively from Uncharted 4's Madagascar level, which, if you don't recall, if you've never played Uncharted 4, then I'll explain it. But in Uncharted 4, there was a level called Madagascar. I think it was a chapter, actually, or several chapters in Madagascar. And it was this like open linear space where you have a directed path, but you can explore everything that's being presented in front of you, including falling off of the freaking map and dying, right? And the same thing was added for Uncharted: The Lost Legacy, but it was expanded on massively. Like, I'm talking not even in the depth of Madagascar's level. Like, The Lost Legacy had the Western Ghats, which was in India, and it's this huge open map where the player can literally explore whatever they wish and figure out all the lore, find the treasures, find the conversations, find the ruby, gold, which you use to find other treasures. It was a really cool invention that Naughty Dog did to expand on their previously done, I guess, open world space, which was Uncharted, the Madagascar level that I spoke about just now. And why I think The Last of Us 2, not necessarily going to be open world like Grand Theft Auto 5 or Red Dead Redemption 2, but I think we're going to get open world spaces. And I'm not going to say open linear, because, well, that is an open world space. It's just limited by the linear aspect of the game, that being the story and whatever Naughty Dog allows us to go through. So my original idea was probably to have it almost like this little hub area where you're in Tommy, because I don't know how they can start the game. I don't think it's going to be completely linear. It just would be strange that we find ourselves with Ellie and Joel again, and all of a sudden something tragic happens, and now Ellie has to get revenge. I find that a little bit too much of a dramatic, poetic story, and I just don't think that would resonate with me entirely. But obviously I'd have to see, because I haven't played the game yet. But nonetheless, I think what we're going to end up doing is having, like, the earlier part of the game, we might be doing objectives for Tommy, right? It's been implied that Ellie is a part of this run group, right? And Joel is he's this overprotective father-like figure for Ellie, because it was in the demo where Joel, this guy Jesse said, "Oh, your father really laid into me today," and she's like, "Oh, what did he say?" kind of thing, right?
Your old man really laid into me today.
What happened?
Another big lecture about my patrols. Don't go here, don't go there. It's funny how involved he gets whenever you're scheduled to go out.
In which Ellie replied. So it implies that, Ellie is a part of this run team of maybe scavengers or whatever you call it, whatever they do. And maybe that's how this game is going to start off. Maybe we're going to be doing runs, right? And we're going to choose which ones we do first. And maybe the story ends up picking up where we find ourselves doing another run, but we steal from these Seraphites. They track us down, and they attack our people, and then ultimately killing either Joel or Dina or whoever, right? And now the idea is we have to strike revenge for these people. So it'd be very, very interesting to see how this goes. But nonetheless, I do think there are going to be some non-linear aspects to The Last of Us Part 2. I think anyone who suggests there won't be because the first game didn't have that, I'm sorry, I don't agree with that standpoint, because you look at Naughty Dog, right? And I understand Uncharted is not the same thing as The Last of Us in tone, in adventure, in scale, in story, in dialogue, in almost every way, shape, form possible. But the one thing I don't think Naughty Dog will do is show Uncharted 4 getting way more open world linear, and then have Uncharted: The Lost Legacy have an even larger open world area that's still very linear, and then walk all those baby steps and then drop all the way down to fit this narrative of The Last of Us. First of all, The Last of Us is a post-apocalyptic video game. Uncharted is really a goal-minded series where the objective is to get a set of treasure, hopefully escape with my life. That is a very linear-like story, because you look at Indiana Jones, Tomb Raider, other narratives that fall under this adventure-like, globe-trotting adventure, really fits this narrative of, this is my goal, I need to get here, will you help me get there? Sure, I'll help you get there. Okay, we're going to fight all these bad guys in the process. Hopefully we stay alive, we get some gold in the end. Hey, let's settle down, let's have a kid, blah, 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 right? That's cool. The Last of Us is a grim, ugly, dark, post-apocalyptic America. And let's be real here. That should be an open world game. Look at Days Gone, and Days Gone did it almost perfectly. I am actually going to make a video, I don't know when, but eventually, about why I stopped playing Days Gone. I'm probably going to compare it to Horizon Zero Dawn, which is the same reason why I stopped playing Horizon Zero Dawn. But Days Gone did it very well as well. Why wouldn't you have an open world game in a post-apocalyptic setting? Why should it be subject to this very linear path, right? And The Last of Us did it great. I'm not trashing on the first game. It did it very, very well, and it just shows Naughty Dog is not one to be messed with in terms of competition, because they can make a fucking good game, right? And I'm really proud to say that as a fan of Naughty Dog. But I don't think Naughty Dog will step all the way down to fit this narrative of, hey, let's just have a linear objective here. Let's just have a linear story here. No paths of open linear aspects whatsoever, like we did in Lost Legacy and Uncharted 4. To me, that wouldn't make any sense, because, like I just established, these kind of globe-trotting adventures are supposed to be a linear objective, right? Look at Tomb Raider, right? And I know that's a movie, and movies tend to have objectives. They're not as linear. Some people tend to mix it up. But my point is, but they played around with the aspect of having an open world sandbox, just driven by a very linear story. And I think Naughty Dog can do the exact same thing for Part 2, if not even add another step. And this is the reason as to why I think there's been a lot of struggle, not only struggle, but a lot of I guess, quote-unquote, downtime for the promotion of their game, because I think they're doing something incredibly massive with the gameplay, not only the gameplay, but the sandbox. I don't think it's going to be completely linear whatsoever. It just would not make any sense, because I think if it were linear, we'd probably be playing The Last of Us Part 2 by the end of this year. I think they're really paving for this open world aspects, and I think they might end up making an open world game, maybe not for The Last of Us Part 2, but maybe another project, which I'm really, really excited for. But nonetheless, that's my opinions regarding The Last of Us Part 2 being open world. Let me know what your comments and thoughts and discussions about this idea, and some of the facts and stuff that I brought up here. Let me know if you've played any of the previous games that I mentioned, like Grand Theft Auto, Red Dead Redemption 2, The Lost Legacy, Uncharted 4, all great games, which is why I hinted or spoke about them, sorry. I hope you guys have a good Gamescom, because I'm not going to be able to watch it, really. But yeah, thank you for watching. I apologize for not having this video uploaded like 2 weeks ago. I was supposed to have this uploaded a long time ago, but I finally had the time and space to make the video, so I did. With that being said, I've been TheStarkz. Peace.